Hi everyone, my name is Laurie from AFTV. We are live here in the AFTV studios. It's my absolute honour and pleasure to be able to welcome you along to episode 150 of the Talk is Cheap show. Joining me today, to my left, my good friend, my co-host, show analyst, former professional footballer, social media influencer and icon, Mr. Curtis Shaw of Curtis Shaw TV in the house. What are you saying, bro?
Something, bro.
How's it going, mate?
Yeah, good weekend, man. Good weekend.
Good weekend.
Weekend
Catch up
off.
with the boxing?
It felt like a weekend off, to be honest, after playing on Friday. That felt like a pre-season friendly, man.
No, you know what? I don't mind the Friday games. Obviously, you know.
As long as we win.
Yeah, results notwithstanding. But I don't mind the Friday matches.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good weekend.
Yeah.
You catch up with the boxing?
Yeah, I watched the boxing. Anthony Yard is a big Arsenal fan.
He is.
As well.
Yeah, shout out to Anthony Yard.
Yeah,
He's been on the channel several times. He's a friend of myself and Robbie. Him and Tunde, his coach. Big fight at the weekend. He fought for the light heavyweight title against Arthur Beterbiev, or Beterbiev. Put in a really good performance, actually. He came up short. He got stopped in the 8th round, but up until then, he was doing really well. In fact, he was ahead on 2 of the cards.
Yeah.
And he was taking on a guy that, you know,
very good
is
boxer.
widely renowned as one of not just the best fighters in that division, but one of the best fighters pound for pound. So for him to do that, that was big. So shout out to Anthony Yard if you're watching, and to Tunde, and enough respect. Like I said, big Arsenal fans. He actually came into the ring with his, I think just before he came
had the Jamaica kit on as well, didn't he?
He had his Arsenal warm-up top on and stuff like that. So man, enough respect to Anthony for that. Okay, moving on then, swiftly to our news and notes, which is, for those of you who don't watch the show regularly, we sort of go through any topical matters that are relatable. I think there's one story that's doing the rounds. It's not been concluded yet, but it's certainly very topical. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people have got their views. I'll be interested to hear this man's views to my left there. Moses Caicedo, of Brighton, well, for now anyway. There's a lot of talk. We've put in a couple of bids for him. The latest one is around 70 million. It's been rejected. Yeah. But interestingly, over the weekend, Brighton have said that he won't be going anywhere. They've effectively put him on gardening leave until after the transfer window and said he's not going anywhere. Now, actually, we should say, shouldn't we, that kind of followed a statement that Moses Caicedo had released, and he was basically saying to Brighton, look, thanks very much, and I've enjoyed my time here, but, you know,
I'm off.
My work is done here, you know what I mean?
10 brothers and sisters.
I come from I shouldn't laugh at that.
No, we're not laughing
I've got to admit, I did find this statement a bit corny, to be honest.
In the world of football, you know, these chairmen, they ain't got much heart. Let's just put it that. I don't think that chairman would have read that and, you know, been in tears. He probably thought, you ain't going nowhere. You think you can have me up like that, do you know what I mean? Because
you've got to remember, these are hard-nosed businessmen. Whatever you say about these guys, they're successful in their own right. Yeah. And they didn't get to where they were by being sort of, how's the word? So when they saw that statement, man, that probably angered them.
If Mudryk was like Beyonce, the way he was twerking, maybe Caicedo's Kelly Rowland. You know what I mean? He's joining the group, but are we going to get the deal done is the problem, you know what I mean?
And the thing that got me as well, apart from his talking about his upbringing and all the rest of it, the man said, listen, when you get the money from me,
this is what you can buy. I said, right, once I've gone to Arsenal,
once you get the money,
spend it on this.
Yeah, you can reinvest it, put it in some high interest ISA accounts.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you.
The Brighton hierarchy was thinking, actually, you know what? That's
a good idea. Yeah, I didn't realise that. Yeah, Caicedo, man, I tell you.
Now, jokes aside, when I saw the statement, straight away I thought, no, you should not have done that, bro.
Yeah, not publicly.
Not publicly, man. I mean, if you want to arrange a meeting with the bosses and then pour your heart out to them, fair enough. Yeah. Behind closed doors, but to release that statement publicly.
Do you know what it is now?
Sounds like that was the agent.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, if you put an official transfer request in to a club, you sacrifice your bonuses in your contract.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So now what a lot of players do, they put out statements or, little twerky statements to try and get out, because you're not then in breach of your contract. You can still get the bonus if you leave and stuff. So they're using
social... his cake and eat it.
Yeah, it sounds like it. But listen, in terms of Arsenal, I mean, I was saying the other day, Caicedo in reality is not worth 70 million. No. That's the reality. But how many players nowadays are worth what is paid for them? The market is massively inflated. I mean, Chelsea, just before we come on here, I think that they've offered 100+ million for Enzo Fernandez, who a year ago cost 8 million. Yeah. This is the way the market is. I think it's riskier to not buy Caicedo than it is to overpay for him. Because I look at him and I think 21 years of age, one of the best DMs in the league of that age group. If you look at Partey's 29, Casemiro's 30, there aren't many good young DMs coming through. And at the end of the day, we pump enough money into the club. This player at the end of the day could be the difference between you winning a title or not. I would rather see the club go for it, potentially overspend, than sit there and turn around tomorrow night and say, well, we tried, Vlahovic part 2, we made an offer, wait until the summer. I think we've got an unbelievable opportunity here. Man City today, Cancelo has left, one of the best fullbacks in world football. Yeah. So Pep's clearly having, he's had a training ground bust-up with him. They've got a little bit of something going off there. Chelsea are mid-table, Liverpool mid-table, United improving but still not quite there yet. For me, I'm like, pay the money. If you're not going to pay the money, though, go and get a plan B. What you can't do is leave us empty-handed and just say, we tried, because we're walking a tightrope with Partey and the fitness. So
it sounds like you really rate Caicedo. Tell the people, how good is he?
Listen, let's be honest, we're paying for potential. He's not the finished article. He's not N'Golo Kante. We're not buying but nowadays you pay 60, 70 million for potential. It's not like back in the day when Ronaldo cost 80 million and Zidane was 50 million. The market is crazy. Man United paid 100 for Anthony. Chelsea paid 100 for Lukaku. Grealish 100. None of those three have really set the world on fire. So I'm looking at it. The guy's 21 years of age. He could be at Arsenal for 8, 9, 10 years. And good players, you never really talk about their transfer fee. Nobody cared that Van Dijk cost 75. Man United fans don't care that they paid 60 million for Casemiro. So, listen, I think Caicedo is overpriced. But
you're saying he's worth the risk?
I think because of the situation that we're in, and we could potentially win the league, I think they should overpay for him, because I think he's a very good option.
Mind you, we said that about Mudryk, and they didn't.
Well, yeah. So. But do you know what? With Mudryk, I always felt like in the wide areas, Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe to come back. Obviously, we've ended up getting Trossard. I didn't feel like we were desperate for a winger. I feel like in midfield, we are desperate for a midfield. Yeah. We don't have enough. So pay the money, Stan, man. We spend enough money, man. You go and spend some money back now, man. Go and try and win that league.
That being said, though, do you think Brighton will basically do a U-turn and sell him?
And listen, I think that...
Because I don't think they will.
I don't think Brighton want to sell him at all. And I think they want to show that strong kind of, we're not going to sell him. I believe if Arsenal get around a certain number, they will sell him. I just don't think a club like Brighton, no disrespect to them, I don't think they're in a position to turn down once that reaches a certain point. I know they're not financially...
Not even if they reinvest the money.
Well, it depends how they reinvest it.
It's funny because Anthony Gordon, mind you, he's now gone.
He's gone.
You can say that.
It worked for him. He went crazy.
Yeah.
But
no, but I think the dynamic is slightly different, because now that he's got his move, he's now using that and saying, well, they got a good fee for me, they can reinvest it. Whereas Caicedo is saying that before the fact.
Before it's even happened. Yeah. And Brighton aren't desperate. They made 100 million in the summer. Like I said, for me, I think that, because Brighton have to look at it from this point of view as well, it only takes him to have a bad injury. Between now and the end of the season, all of a sudden nobody wants him in the summer, and you've just turned down 70 million. To be honest, I think if we get around 75, 80, I think they will have to call a meeting for that. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from on that. Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
But I have to say, they're
going to make it difficult for us.
I got the impression. if anything, I think that Caicedo statement probably made it a bit worse.
Yeah.
I feel they felt quite insulted by that and said, look, mate, we hold your registration. Thanks for the financial advice, but you go on garden.
We'll see you on Wednesday.
See you after the transfer window is finished. But I'll be interested to see how that one pans out. The transfer window ends soon, so we'll wait and see. But okay, thank you very much, bro. Moving on then, because we've got a lot to talk about today. Moving on to one of our regular features, which is to look at Arsenal's last game since our last show. So that would have been last Friday, the FA Cup. Big game. Fourth round of the FA Cup, Friday night, under the lights, first versus second, two best clubs in the country, going head to head in the FA Cup, a competition which, let's face it, Arsenal, I think we're the most successful club in the history of the FA Cup, having won it 14 times. So a lot to play for. And obviously the narrative was, could Arsenal go to City and win? A place we've not won there, I think, since it was 2015 or something like that.
Santi Cazorla.
Although we did beat them in the FA Cup, courtesy of the two goals by
Just say his name. There we go.
By the former man. So, there's a lot of history there.
Yeah, there is,
Not all in our favour, but listen, we were optimistic. Could we go there and get a win? There was also people were playing up the game because of obviously we're going head to head with them in the Premier League. So there was a lot of people saying, listen, we can go there and get a win. Then that would be great for the Premier League campaign. Right, okay. I'll do a brief synopsis and then I will invite Curtis to provide his thoughts. So having watched the game, I thought first half we did okay.
Yeah.
I would say it was reasonably competitive. Some people said that we edged it. I'm not so sure I would say that, but it was a competitive first half.
Yeah.
Second half, I've got to say, I think after a few minutes in the second half, City started to up their levels a little bit. They started to assume control to a degree, and then they got the goal. I think it was on 63 minutes. Very good goal by Nathan Ake. Very metronomic accuracy finish there. I think a couple of players were at fault in not closing down the space quick enough. I think Xhaka was guilty of that. I've seen him do this before where someone's attempting to take a shot and rather than close down the space, they do this. They don't want the ball to hit me stuff. So that was a little disappointing. But anyway, City got the goal. Once they got in front, I have got to say that I don't think we really threatened them enough.
Yeah.
That was my overall view. Couple of players' levels dipped. Got to say Saka didn't have one of his better games. Also got to say that the fringe players, notably Fabio Vieira and Sambi Lokonga, who we'll talk about, they didn't have their best games.
Yeah.
And City ran out 1-0 winners. Wasn't the greatest game, but we go out the FA Cup. For me, that was disappointing, man. You know me, I've said it before on this show, I'm old school, I love the FA Cup.
Yeah.
To me, I was looking at that like, if we go there and beat City, you know what I mean, it opens up the competition. So I was a bit disappointed to go out. But having said that, it is Man City. We did make some changes. I personally thought that the manager was right to make the changes. I was a little bit surprised he went with Rob Holding. Although, to be fair to Rob Holding, I thought he had a decent half against Haaland before he got hooked. He got booked in the first half, so they decided to hook him at half-time. I thought he did well. So, listen, I had no problem with the changes, but obviously to go out is a bit of disappointment, but there you go. Curtis, I haven't gone on too long, but what was your view? Right.
No, listen, I think we had to make changes, really. I think because you've got to keep the squad interested. If you go up there and just play your full strength, the fringe players are going to be thinking, what am I doing here? I think it's difficult to beat Man City if you're not at full strength. And once I saw the team lineup, I was kind of like, Arteta wants to win this game, of course, but that team is not necessarily going to give you the best chance of winning it. Like when I saw Holding against Haaland, I thought, could be a long night, you know what I mean? But they got him off at half-time. He did okay in the first half. He was a bit clumsy.
It was more of a boxing match.
He grabbed him at one stage, didn't he? And you know what I mean? He was doing everything. I thought he was going to get sent off. So fair play to
So did
Arteta.
Mikel Arteta. That's why he took him off.
He did well
at
to
half-time.
take him off. I thought first off we did all right. I thought Trossard was the bright spark in the first half.
Oh, I forgot to mention him. Yeah, he did well. Yeah,
Yeah,
he did
Bossard,
very well.
mate. He was doing bits on that left-hand side. He's going to give Martinelli competition over there, I think, which is good. Thought Matt Turner did well.
Yep,
You know, somebody that I didn't rate at the start, but he looks like an able deputy. And I thought Gabriel and Saliba were solid again. I think Gabriel since the World Cup's been probably our best defender since the World Cup.
Yeah,
he was a little bit clumsy earlier in the season, but he's been brilliant.
I think what with Gabriel, what he's cut out of his game is that beforehand he was a bit impulsive, wasn't he? Could be a bit rash sometimes when the ball was there to be won. He just cleaned the guy out rather than just make that split-second decision to say, well, you know, let me just see how it unfolds, and then. I think you're seeing that now, maturity.
No, definitely.
I think he's benefiting from that. But
as you were saying with the fringe players, though, I thought, you know, Vieira, 35 million, high hopes for him when we signed him. Didn't really think we desperately needed a player in that position when we bought him, but obviously he was highly rated. I mean, I haven't seen enough from him at this point. We can talk about the Oxford game and things like that, but let's be honest, it's a League One opposition. He should be. I want to see more bravery from him. I want to see him on the ball. You know, you watch that game, he hardly got on the ball, didn't really make anything happen. I know he hasn't started many games, so it ain't easy. But we do need to see more. Sambi, I mean, listen, with Sambi, and I said this earlier on my stream, I think it gets to a point with a player where you got to start looking at the manager more than the player. Sambi's come to the club. Obviously, his confidence was high, playing every week. He was captain at times at Anderlecht, played for Belgium. He's come to this country. It hasn't worked out for him. You know, as of yet, I don't think at this moment he's proved himself good enough. However, I think it's important that we don't just scapegoat a player. People were making out like we lost because of him, you know, and I'm like, well, Holding could have got sent off. Tierney's passing at times was sloppy. Vieira didn't have a good game. Eddie didn't really have much involvement. Saka got pocketed really by Nathan Ake, if we're being honest. So there was collective performances that weren't great, and I think now Arteta's got to take the heat away from him. You've either got to back him and start giving him more game time and show him confidence, or I think you move him on, whether you loan him because the loan for Tavares has gone well, or maybe you potentially even sell him if you get someone else in, because I think whatever's happening right now is not working. He's walked off down the tunnel. His confidence is low. And I'm looking more at Arteta than Lokonga now and say, you need to sort that situation out for me.
You know what? That's an interesting perspective. And I do agree with you 100%. I'm very disappointed. And I've said it before in this show, and I'll say it again. A lot of the fans, well, when I say a lot of the fans, a small but significant, loud minority are basically scapegoating Sambi to the point where it's becoming quite unpleasant, actually. You look online, see some of the comments are really quite, personal. And yeah, I don't like it, man. I just think he's a young guy who's trying to make his way in good faith at the club. As you said, Curtis, it's not quite worked out. But come on, bro. Like on Friday, you looked at the comments and you went online. You would think that he'd scored 2 own goals and we lost the game 2-0.
Yeah.
Yes, he didn't have a great game. Yes, the drop-off when Partey's not in the team is noticeable. It's palpable. But come on. You know what I mean? Give the guy a break. And I'm also a little bit disappointed, as you are, with the manager. I would have liked to seen him a bit more public support of Sambi. A sort of proverbial put your arm around him and say, listen, it's not quite happened for him yet, but I believe in him, or whatever, you know what I mean? Just because if he's that bad, you could have loaned him out to Monaco and you haven't done so. So there must be some talent there. And yeah, I don't like to see players scapegoated.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's deserving of that. I'll just look at some of the comments because there's a few people in there have making their views known about Sambi. And again, it's not for the most part positive.
Yeah.
Sky High says, Laurie, what happened to your boy Sambi? Well, that pretty much says, Sambi's got to go. He's not on the level we expected. Sambi is not Arsenal level, says Bekim. Roscoe de Sol, Sambi is lazy. I mean, Lazy? Really? Really, bro? Come on. If you're telling me he's not playing well or he's not quite at the level, certainly in comparison to Partey, then yeah, I hear you on that. But when you're making like personal attacks saying that the guy's lazy, what's all that about? Come on. Yeah, and so it goes on, you know. Sambi has this lazy style to his game. He's comparing Sambi to Berbatov. Really?
Like I said, for me, I think they would have sold him to Monaco if they could have like maybe got the Caicedo deal done quicker, because I think he would have potentially let him go. I think that would have been a good loan move for him as well. I think for everybody now, that situation needs to be
resolved.
Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me if he's let go tomorrow, if we can get a midfielder in.
I think it's starting to look like they should let him go.
Yeah.
And I say that with a touch of sadness because, listen, I've got no particular affinity for Sambi. So before you guys say, he's my guy, he's this guy. Yeah. No, he's not my guy. I never met him. I never had any personal relationship of any sort. I'm not like that. You know what I mean? I don't fanboy players unless it's Aubameyang. You know what I mean? So listen, bro, like Sambi can take care of himself, I'm sure. But like I said, I just feel a little bit disappointed when I see him being made a scapegoat like that, because I honestly don't think he deserves it. I mean, people go on about the all or nothing thing with Eddie when he apparently had a little pop at him saying, you know, you got to wait your chance. I mean, people are taking that out of context. And I mean, a lot of these guys that are going after Sambi were the same man that were going after Eddie as well.
And Xhaka as well, yeah.
You know what I mean? So you know you are. You know what you're
doing.
Listen,
even to a certain extent, I've said things about Sambi and some of these players at times, but I just think it's important that you don't blame them for everything that's going off. There were other players on that pitch that didn't play great.
Listen, me and you have gone back and forth over the years on Eddie, on Xhaka, and we've been at the opposite ends of the spectrum. You sometimes clowned on me because I've supported Xhaka and Eddie and one or two others. Listen, I just like to see guys at the club do well. I'm prepared to give them a chance. Sometimes maybe I give him too much of a chance. I don't know, but like I said, the scapegoating thing is not for me. If the guy's not good enough, then like you said, give him an opportunity to play elsewhere. And like you said with the Tavares thing, it was very similar with him. He got hooked at Forest, and all the fans were on his case. And he's now gone to Marseille, and apparently he's doing okay.
Yeah.
So he'll probably come back to Arsenal a better player. So I think you're right, Curtis. Sambi probably does need a move to get his confidence levels up and get his career kick-started again. But I'm going to say this, it could be mildly controversial, but I do believe it. I think, for me, the biggest disappointment on Friday was not Sambi, it was actually Fabio Vieira.
No, I hear you.
You know, he'd done well in the previous round, and listen, I gave him his props for that, the 2 assists against Oxford.
Yeah.
But in this game, I was expecting, even though he's a fringe player, this was a big game, massive game, FA Cup 4th round, like we said, against City. And I was backing Vieira to do bits. And he didn't do anything of note, did he, really?
I think why Vieira's got a bit more patience from the fan base, because he's had some good moments. You know, the goal against Brentford, the assist against Oxford, he did all right in the tour in Dubai as well. So I think people are being a bit more patient with him, because you've seen little bits of magic from him where you go, oh, if he can build on that. And also, I think the fact it's his first season as well. So people are looking at Vieira going, well, he's only been here 6 months, so we got to give him a full season. He didn't have a pre-season. He was injured in America, where Sambi's in his 2nd season now. So I think people are a little bit more impatient with him. And also the position that Vieira plays, because we've got Odegaard there, who's doing really well, there doesn't feel like a desperate need for Vieira to really turn up. But I do agree with you. I think I am starting to look at Vieira and go, have we got this one right or not? He's clearly a talented footballer, but is he going to be effective enough in the Premier League? I think time will tell with that one. But
I think the reason why I was disappointed with Vieira, and listen, when I say disappointed, I'm not blaming him for the defeat. I'm just saying that after the Oxford game, where he provided those 2 assists and looked good, obviously the City game was a step up, and I was one of those that were openly advocating for him in this game. I wanted, when people were saying, oh, go really strong, get Odegaard and all that, I said, no, listen, man, I'd like to see Vieira and Sambi and people like that, Tierney and people like that who are on the fringes, get their opportunity and see how they go. And, He got his opportunity. It didn't quite work out. So naturally, I'm a little disappointed. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. Some man in here is saying, I forget who is saying, Laurie, stop babying Sambi. I am not babying Sambi. Let me make it clear. I'm not saying that this guy had a great game. He had an okay game. He didn't have the impact that we would have wanted. The difference between me and a lot of people out there is that I'm not going to scapegoat the man and say he's the reason that we lost. He's a part of the reason why we lost, because obviously he played. But I'm not going to say it was him, or it was Vieira, or it was Tierney, or it was Holding, or whatever. There has to be collective responsibility. And what I'm not going to do is just, put it all on one man. And because it's just not fair. But anyway, the other thing that I thought was an interesting talking point after the game, and I'll be interested to hear your views on this, is that obviously we lost the game. Now, we're out of the FA Cup, and that was disappointing in itself. But some people were saying that having lost to City, that could be a psychological edge gained, even though it's in the FA Cup, with regards to the Premier League. What do you think about that?
I think,
doesn't it really matter?
No, do you know what it is? Obviously, Pep will take confidence from it because they're beating us again at home. I think if you're trying to dress it up from an Arsenal point of view in a positive way, I think we went there, we made, 6 changes to our first team. They only maybe had 2 or 3 who weren't playing. Probably Bernardo, maybe Foden, probably Kyle Walker, Diaz maybe, so 3 or 4. But I felt like we were fully in that game. We just didn't have quite enough in attack. It was a quiet night for Saka. Eddie didn't get much service. We missed Odegaard.
He did have a couple of chances, though.
He had a couple of half chances, the ball at the near post and stuff. But I think Arsenal fans, what we took out of that to take a positive from it was, we're looking at it thinking, on the 15th of February at the Emirates, with our full strength team out, we can go for them.
And the home fans.
In previous years, when we've played against Manchester City, I felt inferior to them in terms of, I felt like they're a better team than us. If they play well and we play well, we can't beat them. That's how I used to feel. Where I feel now,
some of the players felt that way too.
Yeah, I know. Well, it has done it. Remember De Bruyne them years ago? He said the easiest game I've ever played.
Yeah, he said it's the easiest game I've played all season.
But I feel like now I'm looking at that City team thinking, do you know what? They can be got at. They can really be got at this. Don't get me wrong. They're still a brilliant team. If they turn it on, they're incredible. But we kept Haaland quiet for that whole 90 minutes, and 45 of them was against Rob Holding.
45 minutes of that was in the cage.
Yeah, in the wrestling ring, UFC was going off. You know what I mean?
Dana White was refereeing.
Yeah. So I think, listen, I'm disappointed that we lost, because I think the FA Cup was the easiest of the 3 competitions to win, and it's a competition that has served us well. It's probably the reason Arteta stayed in the job. Let's be honest, with the brownie points. But I do think we can take heart from. This
so you don't
City
think there's any psychological advantage to be gained from City? The fact that they've beaten us yet again.
I don't think that much. No, because I heard Pep's interview after, and I know he's in a bit of a mood at the moment. But he was saying he wasn't happy with the way City kept the ball. He felt, we made life difficult for them. I think
I've got a theory around all that stuff from Pep. And
you think it's reverse psychology?
It is 100% reverse psychology. Listen, we heard just before we came on air about the Cancelo stuff. There's stuff going on at City.
Yeah.
High-profile players not playing week in, week out. You're hearing stories that Pep is saying that some of the players at the club have lost their hunger.
Yeah.
I think that what he's trying to do is re-energise the team, the fans, the club, by making certain statements, saying we need to do this, we need to do that, we need the fans on board. Some of the players are not hungry. He's seen certain things there that he's not happy with, and he's trying to get that extra motivation thing going.
I think where it's a bit positive for Arsenal, though, is you look over the years, in recent years, nothing really like this has happened.
No.
Mid-season, a big player has a bust-up on the training ground before the Arsenal game, they're saying. He was left out the team, went crazy, said, I'll leave. Pep said, go on about your business.
Go on. There's a door over there.
Bayern Munich, bro, you want to go? You know what I mean? So I think Pep's because Pep's a very passionate person, you can see that. And that's why I think he gets frustrated with the fans, make more noise. And some of these players, I think their belly's full, man. They've won so many trophies, that hunger's gone. So this is where I'm going back to the Caicedo thing, I'm try and capitalise on these little things that are going wrong there.
And dare I say it, right? I think Pep's a little bit rattled at the fact that, listen, they're 5 points behind us. We've got a game in hand on them. Okay, we've got to play City twice. But he's trying to take anything he can get right now, you know what I mean? Because I'm 100% sure he recognises Arsenal as a clear and present danger. Yeah. And so he's trying to do anything to, like I said, re-energise the time, re-motivate them and get them going, because he knows that they're going to need a lift to deal with this challenge that Arsenal are posing.
And he's being questioned, you know. In the press conference, they were like, oh, you know, do you regret Zinchenko and Jesus to Arsenal? And he's, you know...
legitimate questions.
And it is, because people are going to say, well, hold on, you sold 2 players to them and now they're top. That doesn't look right.
No, because now you let Cancelo go as well.
Exactly. I don't think Pep, when he sold them players, he thought, you know what, that'll help them challenge for 4th. He didn't expect us to be above them in the league. I think he's a bit shell-shocked by what we've done this season. That's what I'm saying. Pep's head can go sometimes. Yeah. He's also adjusting to Haaland, which... he's never really played with a target man striker that much. He signed Zlatan at Barcelona, it didn't work out. Haaland obviously is ripping the league apart, but the dynamics of that team have changed a little bit. I personally, listen, I came away from that FA Cup game thinking, get me to the 15th of February. We need to go for their neck, I'm telling you. At the Emirates, 60,000. And go and turn them over. They're due a beating from us.
I must admit, the majority of people I spoke to did have that view. I spoke to Stricter, we did the full-time show together, and he was you. He was saying, listen, if anything, like, it's a bit of a plus for us because we've gone up to City with making 5-6 changes, and City had a scrappy 1-0 win. So there's nothing to fear there, you know what I mean? Other people I spoke to, in the minority, but they made the point that, listen, man, it's another game where City have come out on top. This is not good. We're playing them in a few weeks' time. They got the Indian sign over us. I don't know, man. It's interesting. I guess we'll only really find out when the 2 teams play.
Yeah, that'll be
it's interesting. But yeah, okay. So anyway, so that's that. We're out of the FA Cup. Another year we're out. Disappointed really, because we won it in 2020, and since then we've
been pretty
had early exits.
4th round exit, I think, both years.
Yeah. And we had there's 1 year we went out in the 3rd round. Yeah. As well, was it to Southampton?
I think. Yeah.
So but anyway, I'm sure we'll.
We're going for. We've got bigger fish to fry.
We've got bigger fish
to
fry, and that leads me nicely onto the next segment of the show. Arsenal's next game, our Ops of the Week, as we like to call it. That takes place this Saturday. It's an early kickoff. It's another big game, another North versus South battle. Arsenal travelling to Everton, a place that, let's face it, over the years we've not done that well. Last year we lost to a last-minute winner, stunning strike from Damari Gray. I think, if memory serves me right, when he scored that goal and they won that game, they were coming off for like an 8-game winless run. And they're on a similar type of run this time. I think they've not won in 5 or 6. They've like second from bottom in the table, just sacked their manager. We're going to talk about that in a bit. So things are not looking great for them. But currently 19th in the table. Let's look at their record so far. 20 games, which is one more than Arsenal. They've only won 3 of those, drawn 6, lost 11. They've only got 15 points. But if you're an Everton fan, there has been a bit of positive news, because we're hearing, we found out before we come in here, I know it's been kicking around for a few days, but it's now been formally announced that they've appointed a new manager, Sean Dyche. Now, some Arsenal fans, gravelly voice, Sean Dyche.
Bricks and nails, don't he, Sean Dyche?
Looks like a nightclub bouncer and all the rest of it. Some people have been pretty dismissive of him and, you know, all the rest of it, and been a bit churlish. But listen, I know you respect him, don't you?
Yeah, I think listen, anybody who gets Burnley in Europe, you deserve credit. The football might not always be pretty, but
sexy Burnley.
To get Burnley in Europe, man, that ain't no joke. Listen, two weeks ago, I would have been like, yo, Frank Lampard's Everton. This is 3 or 4-0. But Sean Dyche,
mind you, we didn't do that last year with him.
No, we didn't. But I just think this year they've been terrible this year under Lamps. The dynamics of this game changes completely.
It does.
early kickoff, which I don't like early kickoffs. First game in charge, new manager. He's going to have them organised. Probably play 4-4-2. It'll be direct. Calvert-Lewin, big lad up front. It just feels like a more difficult game now.
It does.
Much more
admit,
difficult
as
game.
As soon as I heard that they were thinking of getting Dyche,
Yeah.
you know what? And I'm going to say this. Some people they're going to have their views on this, but when they were kicking around the idea of Bielsa, I was hoping they would go for Bielsa.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because I couldn't for the life of me see how that would work.
Yeah.
Because Bielsa, and don't get me wrong, he's a good manager, but I just think at this stage, he would have been all wrong for Everton.
Yeah.
Whereas Sean Dyche, you know what you're going to get from him. He's going to come in, he's going to try and organise a team. The first thing he's going to do is try and structure the team and make them difficult to beat.
Yeah.
They're going to be full of running. And there will be, I would have thought, a bit of a new manager bounce. So I guess my question to you, Curtis, this week is, can Arsenal overcome the new manager bounce? I know we're capable of it, but listen, it's not as easy as it sounds, is it?
Yeah, I mean, I still think we should be full of confidence from that Man United game. I know that was before the Man City game, but that was, the previous league game. And Everton still are in the bottom three. Sean Dyche's going to come in and give them that big team talk and, let's do this, that, the other. The fans are going to make loads of noise at the start of that game. What we've got to do is go there and take control of that game. Because if we go 1-0 up, all them fans will go quiet, their heads will drop. They'll go, all right, we're back to square one again. So we can't.
Or they might say, listen, let's get behind the team as
maybe,
a tribute to the manager coming in.
I think one of the big things, though, why the atmosphere won't be perfect up there, because they're still putting their energy towards the ownership.
Yeah, that's true.
And that hasn't changed. The new manager's in, but the owner's still there.
You can't go to the games, can they?
You can't, getting put in headlocks, you know what I mean? Anthony Gordon's left.
I should laugh at that.
No, you shouldn't, but, it's just crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Anthony Gordon's left Everton, born and bred.
But at least you told him how to reinvest the money.
He said, listen, I'm going, but at least you can buy this with it. You know what I mean?
If you put that in a high interest account,
you'll be laughing.
I just find that so funny that it just seems to be fashionable now for players to say, well, look,
I'm going to leave,
but you made 40 mil, so look.
Go and buy Conor Gallagher. So we need to play on that, you know what I mean?
Forgive us, people. We just have that. But it is a bit funny.
It is.
All of a sudden, footballers have become economics graduates
as well. Yeah, I'm leaving, but don't worry.
But don't worry.
You can buy this.
You only pay that for me. You got that.
Yeah.
If you put it in a high interest account and invest it in some offshore businesses,
you'll be fine.
Yeah. But anyway, go on. Sorry, I've interrupted your train of thought.
Everton. Yeah, I still think we should be going up there feeling like, listen, they got a new manager. The fans are going to make some noise, but we need to be winning this game. We played on Friday, so we're going to have 8 days recovery. I mean, I'm hoping.
Mind you, Everton are going to have a big break. They didn't.
Oh yeah. I'm hoping we've got a new player in by that game. I really hope, because I think that will lift everyone as well.
Yeah.
Imagine a Caicedo being signed, the lift that's going to give everyone, and it also sends a message, I think, to Pep and everyone that, listen, we're serious. We needed a midfielder.
Yeah.
We gone and got someone. So listen, I still fancy us to win at Everton. I think Everton will be. Like I said, if Lampard was the manager, I'd be saying 2-3-0 light work. You know what I mean? But I think it will be a tough game.
I reiterate, that wasn't the case last year.
It wasn't. But you look at that game we played them last year, we started to go into a bit of a crazy period. I think that was actually Aubameyang's last game for Arsenal, Everton away. Come on and miss that chance. And very sad day. You had to remove that number 14 Aubameyang tattoo off your arm.
No, I've still got the tattoo.
Oh, you still got the tattoo. Yeah. So listen, I think if you're going to win titles, these are those little tricky games. Everton away, early kick.
Actually, I've just got to come across an interesting question. Actually, it's from Brian Portillo. He says, "Curtis, did you ever experience a new manager jump as a player?"
Yeah.
You played with some different managers.
Yeah. Because the thing is, when a new manager comes in, the players who were comfortable under Lampard, they're now uneasy because they're thinking, damn, this new guy. And the ones who weren't getting a look in, they're thinking, I could get in here. So naturally, it puts everyone on their toes a little bit like, got to make sure I'm on it. So
Jack's also
definitely.
said Deitch wouldn't have had enough training sessions, but I don't even think it's about the amount of training sessions. I just think he's going to bring a certain perspective and attitude and mindset to the club that's going to, initially anyway, I would have thought make them a bit more difficult to beat. They may not win a lot of games, but I think he will be focusing on making them a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Robust.
I mean, as I was telling you off camera, I know one of the Everton players, and they were saying that, Lampard, his ideas are like total football. He wants to play like Barcelona football, but he doesn't have the players for that. Sean Dyche's going to be, organisation, work hard, be difficult to beat. It's just going to give them a boost that, they can go. I think his first 2 games, he got Arsenal and Liverpool first two. So he ain't got no easy way in. So even a draw would be a bad result for us, I think, and a good result for them.
It is.
You know what I mean? And City go to Tottenham on Sunday.
I mean, we go there, as I said before, topping the table by 5 points with a game in hand over City. If we go there and it is a draw, can you imagine? Everton will be looking like that as definitely as a win. They'll be cock a hoop going into their next game, which is a local derby against Liverpool. Liverpool also not playing that well, so they get a draw this week, man. I would imagine they'll bite your hand off for that. Whereas with us, that will be seen as not the end of the world. Let's be honest. It's not the end of the world, but because we've still got points and the game in hand. But I think City go to Tottenham this
on
week,
Sunday. So you imagine if we beat Everton Saturday, we're 8 points clear on the same games, and they've got to go away to Tottenham. I know they beat them a few weeks ago, but it's still not an easy ground to go to, especially when Pep's had a little drama this week with you don't know, because Cancelo could be a very popular player in that dressing room. That sometimes a player being sort of dismissed as well, it can have a knock-on effect. Bernardo Silva, you don't know, they could have. He's going to be popular, I'm sure, in that dressing room. So,
although I think that with regards to City, there's going to be players there that are so hungry for places and the opportunities that selfishly they'll be thinking,
that's one player out the door. Nathan Ake is having a party tonight. I'm playing at left back all season in City.
With Calvin Phillips, where's he gone? What's happened to that guy?
He's the water boy there now, isn't he? He don't get a kick.
But anyway, we won't worry about City. They can take care of themselves. Let's talk about the team you expect to play. I mean, obviously last week there was 5-6 changes and people had their opinions on that. Me personally, I thought it was the right way to go. Some other people, I spoke to Dan Potts. Shout out to Dan Potts. He presented our live watch along. He was disappointed. He was saying he should have played a strong team. But one thing is for certain: there will be a strong team this weekend.
For me, I think 10 out of this 11 picks itself against Everton. If you was picking the Arsenal team, I think 10. The only one I think you would have a question is: do you go Martinelli or Trossard? I genuinely think he played really well against City, and Martinelli the previous 2 games was not great. No. So that's the only one.
Dare I say both will get an opportunity, but who starts?
It's about who starts, Do you know what? And I love Martinelli, but I'm almost tempted to go Trossard. Because
Bossard,
man. Because, do you know why? Because I think you've got to show players that when you're playing well, you get the shirt. And I think Martinelli, I don't mind if Martinelli starts. He's got credit in the bank, but he's had 2 quiet games. Trossard's come in, I thought, had a little impact in the Man United game for 10 minutes. He's then played 60 against City and was our best attacking player, really.
Yeah, he was.
So I'd be tempted to give him the start. And you also then put Martinelli on his toes that you can't afford to have 2 or 3 bad games. The levels are going up. So
listen, man, at this level, you want competition for places. And what you've just highlighted there is a perfect example of that. 2 very good players vying for a similar spot. And they both slightly bring different attributes. So the way I'm reading it, tell me what you think about this. Like with Trossard, actually, let me start with Martinelli because he's been the man that's been at Arsenal for a few years now. What raw pace, dynamic, aggressive. When he's on it, he's very, he likes to go after the defenders, push the ball past them, beat them for fun like that. Not always what I would call clinical in front of goal, but he is a goal threat because of the sheer energy and exuberance and everything else that he brings. Trossard, on the other hand, is a little less dynamic. He's still quick, he's still, you know, athletic enough. But I think with Trossard he's how can I put it? He's a bit more cerebral as a player. And I'm not saying that to denigrate Martinelli, but you know what I'm saying? His decision making, I think, in that split second is a little better. He's also, I would say, a bigger goal threat than Martinelli overall, if you look at their respective careers. And I think he offers you something different.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. I think with Martinelli,
so it could be a horses for courses thing. Who do you go with, a raw pace and aggression and sheer exuberance for Martinelli, or do you go with somebody who's a little bit more cultured but a threat nevertheless?
I think it's a great option because if you're playing at right back, let's say you've started against Trossard and he's a little bit more, and then Martinelli comes on at the end, or the opposite. You've got two very different problems. I think Trossard, I've seen people comparing him to previous Arsenal wingers. Some people have said a bit like Nasri. Some people said Haleb, you know, more of a dribbler, goes in and out, can shoot with both feet, where I feel like Martinelli is a bit more of a straight lines runner. He thrives on space, he'll run at you, you know what I mean? So I think, listen, two great options to have, and that's what we want. But for me, I just think I would probably give Trossard the start because I think it acts as a wake-up call as well for Martinelli that, listen, you got real competition now. And Trossard in his head, we've looked at it and said he's come here as a squad player, you know. In his head, he'll be thinking, I can get this guy out of the team, I'm sure. He wouldn't have come here, would he? Do you know what I mean? He's going to be, he was in the Belgium squad for the World Cup. They got a new manager. He's going to be thinking, listen, I can get in this team. Got 7 goals already for Brighton.
Hey, you know the ironic thing about that, and we spoke about this a few weeks ago before we got Trossard, is that it's ironic really that Trossard, the only reason why he fell out of favour with him at Brighton was because he wasn't starting. Yeah. He's come to Arsenal and he's not guaranteed to start. Yeah. I'm going to disagree with you slightly, Curtis. Yeah. I would actually go with Martinelli because what I want us to do on Saturday against Everton in that early kickoff, I think it's vital that we go after them. Yeah. I'm not saying that we show them no respect. We've got to show them respect, but, you know, we need to, you know what I mean, impose ourselves on that game, start fast. And I think that Martinelli is one of the key factors to that, because that's the way he plays.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
And I think if that's not quite working, or when we're tired and out running ragged a little bit, then we can bring on Trossard and...
Yeah. Listen, either
way,
it's a great problem to have. But to be honest, he'll probably go with Martinelli because Trossard came off after 60, and I don't know if he's quite fit enough yet to play the 90. It will be a high-intensity game.
Playing for Brighton.
Yeah.
But it's a slightly different type of player, but two very good players nonetheless. Yeah. Okay, then we're going to start wrapping up, and then I'm going to ask you for your prediction. Any threats from Everton that we need?
Yeah, listen, we can't ignore. Damari Gray you saw his goal the other week against Man City. He scored against us last year, the winner. He can pull something out. Iwobi's going to be very fired up for this game, former Arsenal player.
The Alex Iwobi
derby, man, you know what I mean? He's got a new contract, I think, there as well. He's been one of their bright spots.
Calvert-Lewin,
I mean, a couple, 6-7 months ago, people were talking about big money moves. Yeah. England squad, he's missed out on the World Cup, so he's going to be up for it. Anana, a player that, we were being linked with him a couple of weeks ago. He's a bit of a tank for them in midfield. Yeah. So listen, Everton are in a much better team than the league table suggests. They should be at least mid-table.
19th. I mean, come on now. They should be doing a lot better than that.
Yeah, but the table
no team is too good to go down, as we've seen over the years. But come on now. Yeah. They have enough quality in that team to be several places higher than 19th. Yeah. And that being said, I don't want them to suddenly start turning it on. Yeah. On Saturday, but I am expecting a difficult game. We've spoken about the team, so you said possibly one change, possibly not. Arsenal's approach to the game would be to...
I think we've got to be controlled. Like you said, the fans are going to make a lot of noise. Sean Dyche will be applauding on the pitch and all that stuff going on. They're going to be really fired up for it. Early kickoff, games on TV. I just think it's about taking that. When the crowd makes that noise, you've got to almost take that away from them by just let the ball do the work. Can we score early? Because players' heads will still drop. like you said, they've hardly won a game this year, really. Like, they're in really poor form.
3 wins all season.
3 wins out of 20 games. They're used to getting beat. So I think it's about getting that early goal, calming down the fans, and taking the control away from them. We are still top. So
Jack said it's going to be a physical battle in the middle of the park. I suspect that's right. We should have Partey back.
Yeah, which we need,
Xhaka, I think he's important in those physical battles. He'll relish that.
Yeah, with Onana and
is there a case for Tomiyasu playing a part? Because if it's going to get physical, he looks like he can handle those
I think Ben White will come back in. Just because he's tried and tested this season. I know he rested him. I thought Tomiyasu did all right against City, to be fair. And he is good in the air as well. I just think Ben White had a tough 45 against Rashford. Apart from that, he's been good.
He's had an outstanding season.
I think the team will pick itself. Even the Martinelli-Trossard debate, I do think he'll probably go with Martinelli just because, again, he's got a lot of credit. But, yeah, I think that midfield battle, Everton... Sean Dyche will be saying to him, listen, you're not necessarily going to out-football this team. Arsenal play some of the best football, but you need to rough these lot up. Yeah. They've got a young team. Give them a kick. You know what I mean? It's old school, but it does work sometimes, don't it? Sometimes young teams, they get out-muscled. So we need
they do have some quite physical guys in their defence. Tchaikovsky,
Yerry Mina.
Connor Cody, Yerry Mina, you know what I mean? So,
big guys, man.
Big guys. I'm sure Sean Dyche is going to enjoy working with those. Obviously, he's worked with Tchaikovsky before, hasn't he?
Yeah.
The
Burnley club. Dwight McNeil. The Burnley boys are back together, man. Do you know what I mean? Where I think we can hurt them, though, is full-back areas. I think they play that Matvienko at left-back. I think he's a natural centre-back. So I think Saka, hopefully, get more joy than he did against Ake.
And dare I say, I think we'll have quite a lot of the ball.
Yeah.
Listen... with respect to Sean Dyche, he's not the most expansive of managers, is he? You're not going to get the ball down and start stringing 20-man passes together.
Yeah.
So I would expect that we will, have a lot of the ball. They will almost invite us onto them as if they were the away team. That's kind of how I see that game going. And it's as if we can maximise that, take our opportunities.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier in the showcase, we get an early goal, man. That will put those thoughts, those doubts back in their heads, and you know what I mean?
Things can change. I think they'll be very direct. I think they'll get the ball out wide, put crosses in for Calvert-Lewin. I see they had a bid turned down for Conor Gallagher today, so it'll be interesting for them. They will, if they've sold Gordon and they've got money to spend, you would imagine they'll buy someone tomorrow.
Reinvest.
Yeah, they'll reinvest as he told them to do, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, but I do think we'll have a little bit too much for them, I've got to be honest. When Partey came off injured, I was like, yo, if this is a bad injury, we're in big trouble. But luckily, I think they said it's just a bit of bruising. He should be available. So, yeah, I still think we'll have too much for them, I've got to be honest.
Myself included. Can I? You've given us your rationale, so you don't need to go chapter and verse into that. So your prediction for the game?
You know what? I'm gonna go 2-1. 2-1 is always my safety prediction. When I think we're gonna win, but it's gonna be close, I go 2-1 because the only reason I just think the dynamics of the new manager, early kickoffs that I don't really like early kickoffs. And I just think it will be a difficult, hostile environment. Yeah. I just think we'll have too much quality on the ball for him. So I go for a 2-1 win.
2-1, yeah. Interesting. I'm going to go 2-0,
Yeah.
I'm going to go 2-0. I think that I think we can get an early goal. And I think that could be the difference. Because we have been starting fast. Yeah. We have been, getting into a pattern where we start fast, get goals early, or at least midway through the half, and, our game management from there on in has been good this season. So, yeah, man, listen, I am expecting a hard-fought game. Yeah. It's going to be physical. I think, we are going to have to be defensively responsible as well. However, I am backing us to win 2-0. So you've gone 2-1, I've gone 2-0. Guys, what do you think? Let's see. Sadiq says 3-0 Arsenal. We have a good away record and kept clean sheets. Bobby Sinclair said Everton 1, Arsenal 4.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Another 3-0, Aaron Spector said. So the fan base, judging by the comments we've got here,
confident.
are very confident. As well they would be, what I mean? Listen, on paper, and this is on paper, Arsenal should win, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
We're top. They're second from bottom. Okay, they're at home. They've got a new manager, but even so, they've not been playing well all season. And, it's a game that we should win.
Yeah.
That being said, for the reasons I spoke of earlier, it will be a different type of game. I mean, like I said also, they did happen to beat us last year in this corresponding fixture, but a year's a long time in sports.
Long time. Obviously, Arteta's former club as well, so.
Oh yeah, of course.
He'll be motivated for that. But we need. I just think with us playing early on the Saturday and City playing Sunday afternoon, this would be a massive win, because I know City beat Tottenham in the home game, but I think this will be a harder game for them. And just to go 8 points clear, and we'd be on the same games then as well. It just makes it a little bit exciting for us. We got to put that pressure back on Man City.
Definitely.
I think for us to win the league this year, we've got to open up a gap where Pep kind of ends up switching off and just says, we got to go for the Champions League. And I think that's going to take 10, 11, 12 points to make him act like that. So I think we got to... The next two games, we got Everton away, Brentford at home before the Man City game. Well, I think we have to win both of them games before that City game.
So, just to reiterate then, so if we don't get the win and say we got a draw, how disappointed would you be with
Very.
That? Oh, really? Okay.
Like, it's not a crisis, of course, because City got a tough game. They could draw, but you've got to be beating second bottom away from home. I know the dynamics of it are making it a tough game, but if you're going to win titles, you've got to go and win games
like this. No, you are right. You are right. You are right. Okay, bro, thank you very much. So, guys, you've heard what we've had to say about that. What do you guys think? Do you think it's a difficult game, or do you think it's a game that Arsenal should go there and win? Let us know what you think. Thanks for everybody that's contributed today. Thanks for all of you guys who watch the show and continue to watch the show week after week. Really appreciate that. Only leaves me to say, look forward to seeing you next week, and I hope that when we talk to you next week, we're glowing about yet another Arsenal win and Arsenal still
maybe Moises Caicedo, 75 million plus £1. I think that might do it.
And listen, with that extra pound, if they reinvest that over the course of time. Listen, bro, thank you very much. Man. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Take care.